Dan, that guy right there, Greivis Vasquez, he is certainly going to be in the running for Player of the Year in this league.
I've been watching Maryland basketball since the early 80s, and I've rooted for a bunch of the players whose jerseys hang above Gary Williams' court. And I've rooted and loved players whose jerseys should be. Greivis Vasquez wasn't a #1 pick in the NBA draft. He didn't win a title, he didn't score the most baskets, or even make the most assists or rebounds in Maryland basketball history. So why is he my all-time favorite? His numbers speak for themselves. The points, assists, rebounds, the wins. That stuff was awesome. All of it. And much of this video is about displaying all those plays that Greivis strung together to weave into wins. That's not why he was my favorite. Greivis routinely shut down and outplayed more acclaimed guards in the ACC like Ty Lawson and Tyrese Rice. He went to Cameron Indoor Stadium his freshman year and recorded a near triple-double in a big win. He hated Duke and Carolina, and he never shrunk away from those big games. But that's not why he's my favorite. He's my favorite because he walked into Gary Williams' office on day one and announced, "Reporting for duty, sir." He's my favorite because he's a natural-born leader, something that had been missing from our program for years before him. He's my favorite because as a young sophomore in Midnight Madness, he entered the top of the arena with showmanship like we'd never seen before. He's my favorite for grabbing the mop and wiping up sweat, for shushing opposing fans, for shushing his own, for hugging David Stern for all the shimmies, for struggling with the language early, yet still being bold, probably cocky enough to do TV interviews. He's my favorite for the way he was his harshest critic and worked at improving any flaws in his game. Mostly, he was my favorite because he threw some of the most improbable and inexplicable passes that I've ever seen in my life. The strength to throw at the length of the baseline, the agility to bounce pass off the dribble in between countless defenders and get it to a guy who couldn't help but to score. Oh, those passes. Greivis Vasquez deserves to be my all-time favorite Terrapin. He worked harder for it than any player I've ever seen. And when he came to this country out of any school, he picked mine. And he loved Coach Williams the way that I love Coach Williams. He's not my hero. I've never met him, but Greivis Vasquez is my favorite Terp of all time. So I did my best to learn how to preserve his time at the University of Maryland in a way that's meaningful to me. If anyone else enjoys this,
you suck! I love Gary Williams. I love Gary Williams. I love Gary Williams. And I want you all to know you can put me in a wheelchair and cut off all my toes. Still love Gary Williams. If I was a girl, I'd be his hoe.
We're excited about being the #1 seed. That's new here in Maryland, and it's something that we're happy about. And hopefully, we'll do a good job representing our school as the #1 seed. And I know our guys are excited about playing in the NCAA tournaments.
Well, I can see him kneeling by the bench from the seat up in the stands. And the only cure for pitch fever is a trip to Garyland. Well, I'd always play my heart out, and I'd always look to pass. And you and me, we could win the tournament, and then
you can kiss my ass.
I love Gary Williams. I love Gary Williams. I love Gary Williams. And I want you all to know you can't put me in a wheelchair, cut off all my toes. I still love Gary Williams. If I was a girl, I'd be his hoe.